time, we had only 4 countries who were playing women football.
Yeah.
And that's Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Zanzibar. The rest, Zanzibar, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Eritrea didn't have women football. So we could not organize a complete SECAFA Women Championship. But starting from 2016, we started organizing Women Championship. That was the first one in Uganda. And then we had 2 in Tanzania, we had 1 in Rwanda, and then we had 2 in Uganda last year. So we have tried to bring football into, we tried to bring football women football into SECAFA, though late, now that because the countries had opened up to start organizing women football. So you have asked me, if I'm the president of FKF, how will you trust me with women football? This was my agenda in the last 4 years when we applied to FIFA, that now we have women leagues. We want money from FIFA to organize women championships. From 2016, FIFA has been giving us money to organize women championships because now we had the leagues that were running. So if I'm the president of FKF, that would be one of my major priorities, to ensure that women get the equal share like the men in our football programs. We cannot let them down at all, because we know that women football in this region is one of the best. And for us to go to World Cup, if we have and put efforts into women football, we can take one of the teams from our zone to World Cup. They have got very good potential.
All right. Mr. Nyamweya, under your tenure as the FKF president, the women leagues were very far apart from rare occasions when UNICEF came on board in 2013. The Harambee Starlets rarely took part in international tournaments. And then what would you change if elected as the FKF president in support of the women game?
Well, brother, I think you have to give me credit, because when I was in the office, we started the women football. As Nicholas has said, Kenya is one of those countries which had leagues. I remember very well the team which qualified for AFCON. That was my team. So my team which we nurtured very well. And if you look countrywide, the women now have started playing leagues. I am the first person who started the women, the FKF Women Premier League, which is actually, it's almost dead now, but it was doing very well. So if I'm re-elected now, I think...
Because you're seeking re-election, right?
Yeah, I'm seeking re-election, of course. Now that funds are coming from FIFA, and we have the counties now, fortunately, who are going to fund some of these leagues. I will ensure and make sure that the women leagues, women football is given priority, because most of our girls like playing football. So that one, I'm optimistic that can be done, and with the support of FIFA, with the support of CAF, with the support of counties, and looking for the sponsors.
Okay. Habo, with your agenda of soccer mashinani, because I think that is your main area of focus, how will you develop women football in the rural and marginalized regions like Garissa, there's Marsabit, where cultural stereotypes take center stage to bar girls from playing the game?
I think from there, our agenda is to spread the game nationwide, right? And football is being played irrespective of any discrimination. For me, it is to go down to all the counties. We have 47 counties, 290 sub-counties, 1,450 wards. I want to start my football for women down at the wards, all right? At the ward, we start our football. In all the branches, in all the sub-branches, we have a role of a women representative. I want to empower all the women representatives to be able to be in charge of the women's football agenda. First and foremost, I must congratulate Essie Akida, Vivian, Annette, and Ruth for being the flagship ambassadors of playing professional football for women outside Kenya. So we know it can be possible. We know it can happen. All right? I want to ensure that not only are we developing women footballers, we're developing women coaches, women referees, women instructors, and more women administrators into the game. Moving the goalposts in Kilifi is an example of what we can do for women. It is a successful women's project, socio-economic development, and I want to replicate that in all the places, including the ones you have mentioned. We want to grow the numbers of women playing football. We want to ensure that the leagues at the counties are supported. And from there, we move to the Women Division 1 and then to the Women Premier League. FIFA gave a grant to the FKF for Women's Football League, of which that grant till today, not all women's football teams have received their funds. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
We must make sure that we commercialize and ensure that we give more women exposure in football. At the same time, we want to ensure that even the local TV stations will be broadcasting women's football.
How are you going to make sure that that happens?
We are going to build partnerships. We have to build partnerships. We have to package the women's football to show that it is an attractive product. The value proposition for women's football is there. Women are doing well in Kenya. They have been to AFCON, and most likely they will get to the World Cup sooner rather than later. The talent is there. We have to start from the mashinani, from primary schools. I keep saying, if you can walk, you can play. If you can, kama waweza kucheza, waweza kutembea, waweza kucheza. And that is for the women as well.
Kweli. Because the issue of women football is a very sensitive issue, because as you rightfully said, there are some funds that were given, the women were forgotten, you know, and when we talk about the women football, most of the people just talk about Harambee Starlets. I think rightfully so, and I think it's in your agenda that women football development should start from the grassroots level.
Yes.
We have teams playing in Division 1, we have the Kenya Women's Premier League, we have very many girls playing mashinani football. So I think it's one area that really needs a lot of keen interest, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So we'll move to agenda 2, which is youth development. And the first question will be, how soon do you intend to establish youth leagues at club level to feed the various national youth teams? Mr. Musonye.
Very good, because as you are aware, without the youth program, our leagues can't be having strong teams, our national teams can't be very strong. If I am the president of FKF, we shall go to the grassroots so that every senior team has a youth team, under 17, under 6, under 8, under 10, up to under 17, so that these teams grow with these youth programs, building up their teams and the leagues, so that we don't lack shortage of good players in our national club, in our national competitions, and in the national team around the stars. So, if I'm the president, the funds we get from FIFA, which is a lot of money, we shall put it down to the grassroots to ensure that the youth development program is well harnessed and well developed. In a situation like where we are now, you cannot tell where the youth programs are. You cannot even tell where the national academies are. So this we are going to harmonize them into one solid youth program development with a department of its own within the federation, so that we take care of the youth development programs from the grassroots. Every national team, every Super League club, Premier League club must have a youth program of under 6 up to under 17, so that we don't pick players from the street and put them in the Premier League. So this is going to be a component of its own within the federation, that the youth development program, here it is. And we develop football, both women and men, from the grassroots, developing the age set with qualified coaches locally, and even from experts to come and develop this program for us. It is something that is at my deep heart of developing football in this country. Uncle
Sam, what are you going to do? How soon do you intend to do that?
Well, it is sooner than you expect, because one of the most important things, as you said earlier,
your microphone.
One of the most important things I said earlier, you know, we cannot have football if we don't nurture the youth development programs. What I intend to do is, of course, the emphasis on youth development programs, the emphasis of training football administration, which is key also, and the infrastructure. You know, you can only do it if you have what we call infrastructure in place. I intend to have a ratio of at least 1 football for every 3 players.
1 football for every 3 players?
3 players in the country.
Okay.
How
are you going to achieve that?
That can be done by using means of education. I will also have a partnership with secondary schools, primary schools, colleges and universities. And you know, once you do that, and when everybody is brought on board, I think it's workable, it is possible. Primary schools, brother, from the age of 16 and 6 years to 13 years. And that is what we call the core. So I intend to do that. And once you have the partnership with the Ministry of Education, which I believe is key, and you get the counties also to support that move, because it needs a lot of resources, I think we'll be able to manage. So I intend seriously, you know, if you look at the world, look at Germany, look at France, look at, you know, look at the World Cup players, the German players who won after a very long time.
Yeah.
It because of intense youth program. So that is what I intend to do, and I believe strongly with the support of the partners, and including all, you know, you're not going to run football as Sam Nyamweya alone, or you have to have a very good team all over the country. And I believe Kenya's talent, and it's workable.
Good stuff. I hope it's convincing enough. Herbert, how soon do you think you can achieve that?
For
Youth
me,
development.
Youth development is one of my pillars, because to get the quality of football that we want in this country, we have to invest in the youth. We have to start at the bottom and at the soccer machinani, the grassroots. Under 5, under 6, under 7, under 8. That's where we start. Talent identification, so that we can identify that talent around the whole country. Yeah? We identify that talent. We ensure that we have specific coaches, coaches for 5-year-olds, coaches for 6-year-olds, right? Development programs that are suited right from the grassroots moving forward, both for men and for women. 30% of resources that come into FKF for me will be dedicated to soccer machinani, so that the resources are there at the grassroots level. Yeah? If I have a budget of about 4 billion Kenya shillings per year, 30% is 1.2 billion. Divided to all the sub-branches, they have a huge amount of money to get those programs running. The current sub-branches and the current grassroots soccer programs do not have money. They are not sustainable. We have to ensure that they are sustainable in that direction, so that we can build. Countries like Senegal, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, Morocco have invested in youth programs, successful youth programs. If we go to Senegal, we go to they have a very famous soccer academy, Diambas, co-founded by...
Is it the one that produced Mane?
Yes. Co-founded by Patrick Vieira. Those are the kind of structures that we want. And we want our academies that are legitimate for football development, partnering with schools, partnering with clubs, and at the end of the day, club licensing must take shape here. Because within club licensing, there is an impetus and a must for youth structures to be there. So this is key for me when I am president, and which is not too far away from now, and we'll get that going once I'm there.
You sound so confident, Bwana Herbert. Is there something that you know that we don't?
When you go into a race, you go into a race to win, don't you?
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
All right. So I think you guys are taking notes, and we'll hold you accountable for everything that you're saying, because youth development is one of the key areas. For me, I take it personal, because I think it is one area that we failed. We have so many talented players coming from under 13, under 14, under 15, under 16, but something happens between 16 and 18 that we don't know. So if it's a myth that you can manage to solve, I think you'll have done the country a lot of good. Agenda 3 is sponsorship, club licensing, and organization. And I'll come to you, Mr. Nicholas. You've been CECAFA Secretary General for a very long time, and you managed to pull around a lot of sponsorship for your tournaments. And I don't know how you intend to make sure that you bring that into our KPL.
Very good. I'll be very specific. For you to attract sponsorship, you must have some credibility. You must have that confidence that you build in the sponsors. In CECAFA, it was very difficult in the beginning because many countries had no structures. So for me to get sponsors on board, it took me quite a while to build that confidence and the image that was supposed to be CECAFA. The image of CECAFA had to be rebuilt. Now, coming straight to the fact that if I'm the president, of which I will be president of FKF, my first thing to do is to build confidence in the sponsors and the government as well. So that if they give me the opportunity to be the president of FKF, I'll ensure that the sponsors' value is given priority. They give money for Harambee Stars, it must be used for Harambee Stars. And we need to have very thorough accounting systems to put in place so that no money goes to wastage, no fraud, no stealing. Once sponsors are confident in you, that you are the president of the federation, and you have their confidence that the money that they're giving you will be used in the right place, you will attract more sponsors on board. So if I'm the president of the federation, given the opportunity, I will work with the sponsors very closely, and nothing will go wrong, because if it goes wrong, it's me to be blamed, not my secretary general, not my vice president, not my accountant. Everything will be revolving around finances. I must know, so that every cent given to us is well utilized. I will involve even marketing organizations, marketing agencies.
I wanted to take you back to a few years ago when you're on record for saying that Kenyan football fans love drinking beer and just gossiping. And we all know that sponsors look for numbers. How are you going to ensure that happens? That we bring back guys to the stadium?
They still do. It's only COVID that has stopped it. They still do. So what we are going to do as a federation is to look for good strategies. We use the media people like you to hamasisha watu back in the football. Because you spend less if you go in the stadium at 2 o'clock and leave at 6. Instead of going in the bar at 12 and spend more than going to watch football. So we shall look for, which we have already, we have a program that we shall bring people back in the stadium.
What program is it?
We have, that's my strategy, it's part of my strategy, to bring people back in the stadium, so that even our clubs can also get resources to run their programs as well. Because if there are no people in the stadium, clubs don't get money.
Yeah, they don't.
So we shall tell people, come back to stadium to promote your clubs, because your clubs need money. So we have a program that we have built, and we shall put it in place once I become the president. And the clubs will even be happy. They'll get more money. You are talking about club licensing. Can I say it before they add, or do you want me to?
Let's go back. Let's go to them. Then we'll come to club licensing. Mr. Nyamweya, and this is directed to you. Your administration was marred with multiple cases of alleged misappropriation of funds. Will this background of dark past affect sponsorship of the leagues and the national teams?
I think you are not right. You are also speculating like the current office. Misappropriation of funds at all. Where you are getting that from, I don't know, it's your own mechanism. We had a very transparent office. We had accounts which were all audited and passed through AGMs. And we don't look at the politics. The point is, during my time, I had also very heavy sponsors. I had the Coca-Cola, I had the Super Sport, I had the UNICEF, I had the Flying 540, I had the government, and many other sponsors. And at that time, we didn't even have good money from FIFA. We were only getting about $250,000 from FIFA. And frankly speaking, with my track record and experience, one of the things which I'll do is to make sure when elected, it's not the question if I'll be elected, because I've never lost an election, and I'm sure I'm winning this election. I'll bring in the broadcast sponsors. I'll get what we call the league sponsors. All the leagues, each league should have a sponsor. I'll look for kid sponsors which are reliable. I'll also get the official ball sponsors. We will also look for an official bank sponsor.
An official bank sponsor?
Yeah, official bank sponsor.
Okay.
We have a bank which we should sponsor the federation, and we ask all the clubs, all the leagues to bank with that bank if we get a sponsor, and many other sponsors. So what is important is going by when I started KFF with Peter Kenneth, we had KBC as one of our broadcast sponsors, and we had sponsors from breweries, from BAT, from I intend, because sponsors are now realizing.
You also had Sport Pesa during a time, right?
No. During my time, I didn't have Sport Pesa. It actually came when I was
Super
about.
Sport?
Yeah, Super Sport, yes.
Yeah.
Sport Pesa came in when I was about to leave the office.
Okay.
So we are sponsors. Sponsors, when I left the office, and I can tell you, sponsors shied away. They went away. I'm trying to see someone trying to bring in sponsor now when his time is over. Sponsors who are of the questionable characters, but we'll make sure that we have sponsors where we do what we call a very serious due diligence. We don't want to hoodwink the public by having a sponsor when you are leaving the office. Bring the sponsor when you are in the office.
Right.
And number two, you must also have a sponsor who is well known, due diligence, who is respected by the public. Not a sponsor. You announce a sponsor and you don't even see the email, the owners for that sponsor.
Are you talking about BetKing?
Yeah. Do you see when the current president was announcing the sponsorship? Did you see the owners of that sponsorship?
They said it was not an official launch. It was just a presentation. I don't know.
No, then if it's not a launch, why announce it then? When
That
you're
is,
announcing a sponsorship, you must have done your work properly. So anyway, that's what it is. We will ensure we know around the proper sponsors, and the proper sponsors are actually ready, prepared to sponsor Kenyan football. If number one, there is what we call transparency in the way you manage their money. One of the things which I will do is, if you have a sponsor, for instance, use the sponsor in signing even the withdrawal of the money of the sponsorship. Like that's what we used to do with the Kenyan breweries. You must have a committee which is comprising all the sponsors, so that any expenditure which is done must be approved by all the sponsors.
I want to read a comment here from one of the viewers. Flo Awish is saying, you had all those sponsors and yet you couldn't pay referees.
Who says I didn't pay referees?
I don't know, it's in the comment section.
That's rubbish, because all the referees were paid. During my office, I can tell you, referees, players were paid. That is the politics of our opponents, and we know who the opponents are. So, which referees were not paid? This time round, the referees have not been paid. Players have not been paid, even with the huge money which the government has given Bwana Kubwa. Players have not been. The government gives 244 million shillings. We have never seen. Ask Musonye. We have never seen that kind of money in this country since independence. But when the money comes, players are crying. They have not been paid. So that is one of the things which we will not allow. Yeah.
Herbert, I'm coming to you, and I want to ask you. You've been in rugby, right? And rugby is a different sport from football. You have a vast knowledge of sport administration and a background in sports marketing. How will you ensure that the top leagues attract the best partners and following, like in rugby? How do you plan to market the game? Because we've seen a lot of even football fans going for rugby events because they're well marketed. But that is rugby. How are you going to translate that to football?
It's important that at this point in time, Bram, we repackage our football. I want everybody to fall in love with football again. All right? I want sponsors to fall in love. I want the fans to come back. I want football to be a Kenyan game #1 again. And it's all about repackaging the game. Football is big business. Football is an industry. All right? And if we map it properly, if we ensure that you can see in the value proposition, the gains, right from the grassroots up to the top league, it is important we do that. Right?
Yeah.
Sponsorships, and they don't even sponsorships. I want to term them as partnerships. Partnerships with government, partnerships with county governments, partnerships with Kenyan companies. There are a lot of Kenyan companies that would, and I will emphasize again, Kenyan companies that would like to sponsor football, but football has not been packaged or presented to them well. This is what we're going to do. We're going to package it, we're going to do it in the regions, we're going to do it in the sub-regions, and at the top level. Because it is important. Buy Kenya, build Kenya, made in Kenya, to ensure that Kenyan companies come back to sponsoring. And we need to also value our product in a way that the monies that come in actually have a benefit to the game, to the industry as a whole. I want to ensure that clubs are able also to repackage themselves so that they can also go and attract sponsorships. Yeah, because that is the business. Yeah? They can bring in partnerships, be it Gor Mahia, be it Gongarelli from Taita Taveta, be it Vihiga Queens. They will be shown. We will empower clubs how to repackage themselves, how to make them attractive. So if there's a club in your home village of Kakamega, Samitsi, yeah, they can go to Kabras Sugar and present a proposal to them. I have my club at home, Rabai Sports and Bengo Bullets. They can go to Mombasa Cement and present, because we have shown them how they can package themselves, how the value proposition will be a win-win situation for both the partner and the sponsor. But it's important that we have to reevaluate our game. I don't want to bring in a sponsor who will scare other sponsors because he's a ghost. That is what, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Exactly.
I know what you mean. Back to you, Mr. Musonye.
Yes.
We've been having this issue of club licensing.
Yes.
And if you remember very well, last season, I think one of the teams, was it one or two teams, folded because they couldn't honor their fixtures.
Yes.
How are you going to?
Yes, you have brought this question, and I want to inform you, I am a member of CAF, Club Licensing Committee. So the issue of club licensing in Kenya is very tricky, because there is no single club in Kenya which has a threshold,
Which meets the threshold?
which meets the threshold of CAF club licensing.
Really?
I'm telling you, because I have been in 12 African countries. 12 African countries where I verified and sanctioned the club licensing. Kenyan clubs don't even have a stadium today. They don't even have proper infrastructure. They don't even have a youth program. They don't even have proper structured management, because club licensing is very massive. If you have that booklet of CAF where club licensing requirements are noted, no club in Kenya can qualify. But however, if I am the president, which I will be, the president of CAF and FKF, I will ensure that we do it slowly, so that we don't endanger our clubs. Because if any other inspector comes to verify Kenyan clubs, very few will qualify to play even in Africa. But once I become the president and I know what involves club licensing, I will fast track the whole process to ensure that the clubs have means of resources, because the resources is one of the criteria for you to qualify to play in the league and even in the CAF. Stadia, youth programs, and the general administration of the club management. I will make sure that it's well structured, so that it meets CAF criteria, because I know what CAF criteria requires. So once I become the president, I will form a club licensing committee of qualified people to ensure that the criteria that is needed in CAF, that is set up, is followed, and our clubs can gradually meet that criteria to be able to play in the league and also in CAF competitions. I have a way to do it.
You have your formula there.
I have a formula, because I am part of it at the CAF level.
Uncle Sam, and I'll read a question from the comment section here. There's a lady here called Bri Ongalo. She's asking what used to happen to Harambee Stars allowances. And talking of allowances, I remember an incident where the national team was supposed to go play in Cape Verde, and I think we traveled a day to the game. I remember so well. You had a telephone conversation with my brother Innocent Mutiso. How are you going to ensure that that doesn't happen again? Because we have a culture, we've developed a culture whereby the national team travels even on the day of the game.
Well, I don't know, because I thought we were talking on the club licensing, where we are jumped into.
You can touch on both.
Yeah, I agree, because I thought we should be organized
on the same page.
We finish on the club licensing, then we go to that's
right.
an AOB or whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I will answer that one, but let me talk about the club licensing, which Nicholas has been talking about. I agree with Nicholas that when I was the president, this question of club licensing is very tricky. Let's not pretend that the club licensing can be done overnight. It's not possible. It's not possible. Most of our clubs, first of all, they are very poor clubs. Resources. They don't have resources. Look at even the Premier League clubs now which we have. Maybe 1 or 2 clubs are financially able, yes, which can sustain. I will tell you that the situation in the country as we speak by now, which the FKF, which is going, the outgoing KF is not addressing, is that the situation is so grave that those clubs are almost dying. I will tell you, for the first time, 3, 4 clubs, 5 clubs could not honor all their matches. It's a disgrace. We have for the first time, the Premier League clubs cannot honor their matches. That shows how grave the situation is, and nobody is thinking about it. So club licensing, most of these clubs, I agree with Nicholas, they can't meet. So the best thing to do, even president, is to give them time, give a timeline, even though you are being pushed by CAF. I remember I was being pushed by CAF. It's not possible. It's not possible. Each club cannot have an office. How many clubs have offices in this country? Maybe not. So it's not possible. What is important is for the federation, for the president to start now doing what we call civil education to these clubs. Number 2, to make sure these clubs are financial ability, so that they can meet the threshold of the club licensing. So it's in a nutshell, as my brother Nicholas said, it's not possible. It will take time, but it will take time. But I intend, once I'm in the office, to start now building a situation where we can have sponsorship, partnership with those clubs as a federation, and the counties. We are lucky. The situation now is not which was there before, because we have counties, and most of the governors, I've talked to most of the governors, they are actually prepared to assist those clubs. So once you have the support, financial support, and then you can now, with the federation, have a committee. I intend to have a serious committee chaired by maybe having a general manager in charge of counties, who will go around the counties, see the clubs, which problems they have, and see how they can be assisted. So in a nutshell, the club licensing cannot be done overnight.
Right.
Number 2, you are talking about national team. This question,
we're coming to you.
I'm tired because you are in the media. I have answered this question more than 50 times.
Right.
When you talk about Cape Verde, which is talked about 4 or 5 years ago, the question was the government's fault. They did not give the money until a day before we flew out. A national team is fully financed by the government, not the federation. All national teams, my colleagues will agree with me, they are fully financed. So if you don't get money from the government, you cannot be claimed as a federation, because according to the Sport Act, all national teams, be football, be rugby, be athletics, be what, they are financed by the national team. During the Cape Verde time, the government, the minister then, who was fighting the federation, sometimes we are fought by people in government. They release the money on a Friday, and we are supposed to travel on a Saturday. We booked the tickets more than 4 or 5 times, and they were all cancelled. I had to use my own connections to charter a flight. At least they wanted me to fail, so that match does not take place. But God willing, I had to do whatever it took to charter a plane. The national team took 18 hours to Cape Verde. You cannot blame Sam Nyamweya or Nicholas Musonye or Herbert, even the president. So if the government,
even Nick Mwendwa,
or you cannot even Nick Mwendwa, although Nick Mwendwa has been given more money than any other president ever in this country, and that money, we don't know where that money is. So that is the situation. So don't ask me about the national team. If I can be blamed if I was given the money and the team didn't travel.
True.
But if I was not given the money, even if you are the president, you can't do miracles.
You cannot.
Yeah.
Herbert, you want to say something on club licensing as well?
Yes. Club licensing is particularly critical at the top 3 levels of our football. The Premier League, the National Super League, and the FKF Division 1. It is important that here that when I am president, we will do a lot of civic education for those 3 levels of football, as well as the 48 branches, because clubs belong to branches. Yeah, they come through the branches. So the administrators in the branches must first understand what club licensing entails. The club administrators themselves must be taken through step by step. It is a fact that our clubs do not meet the threshold to get the certificate for club licensing. The best they will get is provisional certificates to allow them to contest in Africa, whether it's the Champions League or the Confederations Cup. But the problem is much, much deeper than that. There is need for civic education, not only for club licensing, but for more football matters. The clubs, the administrators at all levels, even from soccer mashinani, must know their rights. They must know their rights about what entails. It is what they do deserve in this football community. As I've said, football is a business. Football is an industry. It is the 4th largest industry in the world, if I'm not wrong. It is only here in Kenya and other parts of Africa that we are struggling to industrialize, whereas other countries have industrialized. I even want to take the scenario yesterday in Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
Simba Day, Simba versus Vitalo.
Yes.
60,000 fans in the stadium.
And they filled 2 stadims.
2 stadiums.
Yeah.
It was a huge affair. You could see the sponsors coming out supporting the players. You could see the government there in full flight supporting
the musicians.
It is an industry. It has moved from just being a social pastime. It is now an industry.
Yeah.
That is what I want to bring to Kenya. That is what I want to make Kenyan football an industry.
Yeah.
We had a golden period in the 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s. When we were about to take off, we collapsed. Now we want to go back there.
Good stuff. I think we're moving well, and I just want to clarify a few things as we proceed to agenda number 4. That I made efforts to invite the current president, Mr. Nick Mwendwa.
Outgoing.
Outgoing.
Not the current. This time is over.
I made efforts
It's only there to hand over to any of us who takes one.
I made efforts to invite Mr. Nick Mwendwa for this debate, but his people told me that he had made other arrangements prior to this invitation. And then the other presidential candidate, Mr. Boniface Osano, by the time he was declaring, I had already arranged for this panel, so that is why they are not on this panel, but I'm hoping that we can have them on part 2 of the debate. So just a small clarification on that. And then we had a small technical hitch. My IT guys are telling me that the show was being sabotaged by people known to we tried to stream the link actually hung twice. We put it in, it was blocked, again it was blocked, but we are here, so just in case you're joining us, that is why we started late. So we're going to agenda number 4, which is technical development of the sport.
Yes.
And in technical development of the sport, we have officiating, where we have the referees,
Coaches.
and then we have coaching, we have football infrastructure and structures, and then we have investment in those areas.
You before I call that agenda, you have said that someone is trying to sabotage.
Was trying to sabotage. Right now we're live.
To sabotage this program. You can imagine if someone can sabotage a program like this one. What about the election itself? What about the election itself?
But this someone
when you were trying to say that things are not right, people think that you are not being very honest. If someone can try to sabotage a program like this one, which is enlightening people of what we want to do, every candidate who is supposed to be in the race should be able to come and explain what they want to do for football, not to sabotage others. However, let's go back to our
to agenda number 4.
Agenda number 4 about infrastructure.
It's technical development.
Technical development is a big component also. Even in the CAF and FIFA, technical development is a big component that needs really to be looked into. One, it touches on coaches. It touches on referees. Even administration, part of administration is there. Medical and all those. If you are not very careful to handle the technical matters of the federation well, your football cannot grow. Because here you need to have qualified coaches. License A, license B, they must be there with specific qualifications. You need to have stadia. What about if I say, as Mr. Sam said, counties now are able to put up small stadia. We'll harness on that one. So that if we say Vihiga United, you have a stadium in Vihiga, we try to develop that Vihiga stadium to look better. Homeboys in Kakamega can use Pohongo, and we try to develop that infrastructure in partnership with the counties. Narok County, they have a stadium which we work with them. When we get money from sponsors, we tell county which county what they are lacking in that facility. As a federation, we plow in some money so that our clubs can play on a good stadium. Coaching and refereeing is a very important component in technical development.
Yeah.
Because without good coaches, you can't have good quality.
Yeah.
These are teachers. You need good qualified teachers to have good results. If you don't have good referees, our matches will always have problems.
Right.
We will have chaos here. So our referees will be trained to be good professional referees, so that we don't have issues where matches are abandoned, where teams don't feel confident about the referees. So all those things are in my dossier that I'm going to unveil, so that we have good referees, we have good coaches, and then the infrastructure. We will emphasize to the government, you cannot run football in Africa if you don't work with the government. The government must give us support by giving us infrastructure. And it is our responsibility as a federation to help those counties to do what they have not done, because there are specifications that the FIFA and the CAF requires for the stadium to have, which we shall use our experience to put in those infrastructure, to make sure that we play on a good stadium, so that our players can enjoy, our spectators can enjoy football. We shall work on that.
All right.
We have a formula.
Uncle Sam.
Yes. I agree. The technical team is a very essential component to the running of football. Well, during my time, I was able to, I held the first ever CAF licensing course, which I trained about 36 coaches who were licensed.
Okay.
I also held the first ever CAF B licensing coaching, which was very successful. I held also a CAF C licensing course, and many other trainings. I had one of the best referees team. Can tell you. You remember that I produced a very good one of the best referees, and one of the referees also officiated in World Cup.
Mr. Aden.
Yeah. So it is one of those important things, because if you don't have right coaches, you don't have right referees, then actually you don't have football, because you must train them. I intend to enhance that when I get back to the office. I make sure, in partnership with the CAF and FIFA, I really get a very serious committee, a serious technical committee, which will be headed by one of the top NEC members, because according to FF Constitution, some of those committees should be headed by NEC members. I have a team, as we speak now, around the country. I've identified my NEC members, and I will put one of the top NEC member to make sure the technical committees run very well. So we can now figure as trainings for the coaches, the referees, and make sure that even the stadiums which are being built in the country, they should be built under the specifications of CAF and FIFA standards. I had a technical committee last time when I was in the office, and we built Machakos Stadium. Nicholas can remember that when we had Sakafa, I was able to move very quickly and make sure that we have a few stadiums in the country. And Nicholas enjoyed taking Sakafa to most of these counties. And look at what's happening now. The governors, current governors, are very keen the government is very keen, although the government took a lot of time saying they will give us 5 new stadiums. But I've seen the President Uhuru as now, personally, I can tell you now, is personally involved to make sure that those stadiums are ready. Once those stadiums are ready, I can assure you, most of these national matches can be played all over the country.
Yeah.
I will ensure that matches, international matches, I will ensure CECAFA matches are played all over the country, so that people in Kakamega can enjoy, people in Kisumu can enjoy, people in Mombasa can enjoy, rather than having what we call one area concentrated in Nairobi. I also intend, if I can digress a little bit, regarding the Kenyan Premier League, because I'm sure time is not on our side.
Yes.
I intend deliberately to make sure that most of these Premier Leagues now come from all over the country. We have the counties, let every 4 or 5 counties produce one Premier League club. This question of having Premier Leagues, all of them, most of them more than having Nairobi, is not helping. So it will be a very painful move, but that move has to be accepted, that we have a system where we can have Premier Leagues coming from all over the country, not only one area. The other thing is, I want to be on record that
you have a minute.
I have a minute.
Yeah.
I want to be on record that the partnership between FKF and the Kenya Premier League will be maintained. I will give the Kenyan Premier League an agreement of running the league the way they have been running, as opposed to someone changing goalposts. You want to form FKF Premier League? You know,
I think you're the one who gave them the mandate.
I'm the one who gave them the mandate. I signed a 5-year contract, which has not ended. And although it's ending in September, the question is, the current office did not terminate. They did not terminate. And you know, when you don't terminate, because you look at the clauses of my agreement, is that if you want to terminate, you must give notice. And when you give notice, we had what we call a joint executive committee, which has to sit down and renegotiate what we call an extension. That Nick Mwenda did not do it because he had his own agenda. He wanted to dismantle KPL and start an KPL run by himself and his cronies, which is not possible. And we should understand that the contracts must be respected. Contracts must be respected. The Premier League agreement stands, and it has not been terminated. So by law, you cannot terminate it until you have what to call an exit strategy where each parties agree. So I will maintain. I think the federation does not have enough capacity to run those leagues. Those leagues should be run by the companies. So the Kenya Premier League will be run by the Kenya Premier League. I intend also to have the Women Premier League form their own company to run the league, so that now you can what to call you can delegate those kind of leagues. So that's what I intend to do, as I did last time.
Awesome. I think we still have like 10 more minutes before I release you guys, and we have only one agenda remaining as per my program. Sorry. But I'm coming to you. It's your turn. You're coming to the technical.
I've not spoken about
You've not spoken. I know. But I want to read a comment that is directed to you from Ronald Okoth, who is saying that if you are elected, just know that the CEO's position is his to take. And then there's Steve Aruro is watching, Jefferson Edward Mzee, we have Lavenda Odero, Frank Haemba, and so many other people tuned in live. Technical.
Ronald Okoth, thank you very much. See me the day after we have won the election. Technical development is the heart. Is the heart of football. Right. It is where we are going to build the quality of our game. If we don't start working on the quality of our game right from the grassroots, then we will have nothing at the top. I have done an analysis, and from what I have seen, there is a disconnect between the national office and what is happening at grassroots. Some counties have a deficit, not even some, most counties have deficits of coaches, deficits of referees, deficits of even basic footballing tools. The current situation is everything is at the top. I am taking it away, I am turning it around, making it a pyramid, and putting in resources right from the bottom, putting in development structures right from the bottom. And I told you, 47 counties, 290 sub-counties, 1,450 wards.
Yeah.
That is where we are starting our technical development. We are going to put coaches, referees, administrators, right from the ward level, so that we start building the quality of our game. All right?
Yeah.
I am looking to ensure that we empower. I want to bring in former footballers. There are a lot of former footballers who are keen to play a role in technical development.
Right.
I want to bring those who particularly...
Including myself.
Including you, Bram.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you're a better technical guy than... or rather, a more useful one. Yeah. I want to bring former footballers, both men and women, to come back and be part of the technical development agenda. There are some who want to have skills as coaches, yeah, but we want to have them in schools, academies, but they're being locked out. For me, a partnership with the Ministry of Education is important to ensure that former footballers can be fast-tracked to ensure that they're part of the school development system at that level. Yeah? And we're looking at developing coaches, referees, nutritionists, administrators, medical personnel. As I've said, football is an industry.
It is an industry.
It is a big industry, and there's a place for everyone.
Right.
Yeah? But we have to start from the ground to build the quality that we want. Once we started building the quality at the bottom, I went to several sub-branches last week, and some sub-branches, teams don't even have kit because they're in dire straits. They do not have direction from the top. Yeah? For me, this is important. There must be, whatever my strategic plan is, it cascades down to the branches, it cascades down to the sub-branches, as well as even the field committees, so that we're singing one tune of building Kenyan soccer. Let me tell you, Bram, soccer mashinani is where this whole thing starts. And it is a long-term project, not a short-term. It is long-term. So even 20 years after this, when I'm sitting with these wazes and their great-grandchildren, and they'll be saying, Mwachiro, you did a good job.
But I'm saying, unakubali kuitwa mzee.
Between me and him,
He thinks he's a teenager.
There's someone here, Nick Patel is saying that Herbert is so eloquent. I think it's a compliment. We are into the last agenda of the day, because I know you guys have to rush somewhere. I've taken a lot of your time. I apologize for that. These things happen. We'll work on that next time. So our last agenda is on match fixing. But before you answer about match fixing, I want to give credit to the owners of this place, the people who've hosted us. We are at Sheraton, 4 Points by Sheraton in Hurlingham. Tuko Ubabini majamaa, tuko ghetto. So nimeleta majamaa wangu hapa Ubabini leo, na hii place ni place fiti sana, wako na pool, na background hapo ni pool. Kuna unaangalia hivi na Nairobi wako na rooms fiti sana. Kama una shughuli na unataka mali pa kudozi unakama hapa, wako na rates fiti sana. So big up to Sheraton, 4 Points by Sheraton, for giving us this place to host this debate. I hope next debate pia bado tutarudi hapa. The issue of match fixing.
Is it possible to interrupt?
Yes, of course it is.
We have very little time, and there is a very burning subject which we are requesting you.
Bring it up.
It's about the elections.
About the elections.
Because we can't be in the office to run those things if things are not, if we are not been able to go to the office. We are banning things if we can discuss about the elections, upcoming election.
Right.
Because even if we discuss those things, would in manifestos, and then the election is rigged in, it is baseless.
That was actually my last point I wanted to ask you.
Because we have only less than 10 minutes. That's an important
it was actually my last point about elections. I wanted to ask you, but since you brought it up, I don't know which one should go first. Do we go for elections?
Let's go to the agenda.
Then we'll go. We'll talk about the elections.
Election,
You know what? Me, I'm here. We can go until morning.
Yes.
Up to you guys. But let's talk about match fixing, and then we'll come to the elections.
Correct.
So the issue of match fixing, we've had players who've been implicated in match fixing. We have had, I think, Kakamega Homeboys players. We had Zoo FC players, and we are running a league that is sponsored, or was sponsored by a betting company. How are you going to make sure that this doesn't happen?
This match fixing issue, to me, it is because of bad governance.
All right.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Because if you are in the office and you are monitoring the league as they is being played, that match fixing things will not be there. First, are the referees taken care of? Are the players taken care of? Because that can only happen through bad governance. If I'm the president of the federation, given the opportunity, such kind of things cannot occur. Sam said something here, which I want to compliment him on that.
Yeah.
He said, if the league was running under the old format, why would I want to come in, change it, bring in another group of people to run the league? Why should I? In any case, I will tell the group that is running the Premier League now to continue and give them more responsibilities, like the National Super League, the second tier, to run together, because the process of promotion and demotion falls in that pattern. Why would I bother about that one? I will leave it as it is. Make some few adjustments where we think that is necessary. So match fixing is something that cannot be tolerated in an organized country. When did this thing start in Kenya? This match fixing thing. You should ask yourself why it has happened in this country. It never used to happen. It never used to be there, because our people were concentrating on football. Football was football and nothing like match fixing. It is because of bad governance. Now, if I'm the president of the federation and players have been caught in a match fixing, the disciplinary measures I will take will be very severe, so that no one else will attempt to get into that kind of vice. Not at all. Because it is killing the spirit of football. Football with the match fixing, they should never be together. These are two things that should never go along together. It can never happen if I'm the president of the federation. We shall have disciplinary measures that we shall put in place to stop that kind of stuff happening in our football.
As I come to you, Uncle Sam, there's a compliment here from Jefferson Edward Mzee. He's saying that we've seen what Musonye has done with Sekafa. He can manage the federation. And then Mono Wood says, I hope for once we vote the right vision. That vision is Herbert Mwachiro. Uncle Sam,
Okay, thank you.
match fixing.
Well, let me tell you, I want to echo what what the opponent said about it's governance, it's leadership. When I was the president of the federation, there was no one single match fixing, because I was very, very strict. You remember one time I had to suspend Mumias and I had to do it.
Okay.
And it's not a joke. So if you are rotten from upstairs, the match fixing will be. I can tell you, the match fixing which was witnessed recently in the Homeboys, it was acted by the Homeboy itself, not the federation. The owner of Homeboys, Shimanyula, reported that there's match fixing, and the federation was not doing anything. So what does it mean? It means this thing was done from within the knowledge of the federation. Number two, when you are talking about betting companies, if you allow any bloody betting company to come and sponsor the leagues, that's the genesis of match fixing. They are coming to sponsor the leagues so that they can actually manipulate the match fixing. I can tell you, and that's why when I'm president, I will not just allow money to come in because money is coming. You have to do what you call due diligence.
Right.
What I will do, if there is a sponsor who is coming to sponsor the Premier League, I will give opportunities to more than four or five sponsors. This time around, nobody, other people are not given an opportunity. Other betting companies, and I must, as a president, do what we call due diligence to make sure this betting company, what is the origin, where is it coming from, what has it done. What do they intend to do? I'm telling you, the current betting company, which is, I'm sorry to say, we are not too sure about what they want to do and where they're coming from. Even where they come from, Nigeria, they are not even sponsoring football. I'm sorry to say. So, match fixing, my young brother, it is a question of the leadership, governance. You are tough up there. You'll manage to curtail that sponsorship.
Right, I think you're done. Mariko Abwao here says that Mwachiro akona akili sana, angewacha hiyo kiti asimame president of Kenya. And then D. Nick is saying, why is Nick Mwendwa missing in this good debate? Nick Mwendwa was invited, but he said that he had other commitments, so that's why he's not on this panel, but we hope to have him in the next debate. Your take on match fixing.
Yes.
How are you going to
Bram.
deal with it?
I want to echo what these two distinguished gentlemen have said. Match fixing, and I want to even add on top, is a cancer. Is a cancer that we must not allow it to grow in Kenya. 3 reasons are the causes. Get rich quick. There are people who want to get rich quick. There's low education amongst even the football fraternity. And also there are cartels. There are cartels that are manipulating games in this country. What do we need to do? First and foremost, there needs to be legislation. There needs to be legislation against match fixing, and quite punitive, so that we ensure that offenders, once caught, jailed, banned, are a deterrent to others. Secondly, there is need for a lot of civic education, right from soccer machinani to the top. It is important that we educate the football fraternity on the perils and the negatives of match fixing. It does not make us happy when we see players, Kenyan players, being banned because of match fixing. It's a reputation we can ill afford to have. We can do without it. All right?
Yeah.
Lastly, these companies, the betting companies that come to sponsor, we have to work with them. We have to work with them to ensure that there's a code of conduct that ensures certain things are put in place to ensure that no match fixing takes place. You cannot have betting companies in direct contact with players or other officials of football. I saw sometime the other day, I think it was a mistake, but when a certain company was giving COVID funds, they took phone numbers of players direct. No, that was a mistake, and I'm sure we can't allow such contact between a betting company and players. So we must ensure that there are rules in place, and we will work with my federation will work with the companies that come into play to ensure that there's a strict code of conduct, and we remove this cancer of match fixing. It pains me when I see Kenyan players and Kenyan clubs being accused globally of being part and parcel of the match fixing cartel. But we will work on it and we will get rid of it.
Awesome. I think we've exhausted that, and that was supposed to be the last agenda, but rightfully so. My uncle here, Sam, wanted us to discuss about now the upcoming elections.
Yes. Well,
do you think it's going to be free and fair?
No. We have said it before, and we want to emphasize here. The forthcoming elections will not be free and fair from what the ground looks like.
How many delegates are allowed to vote?
94.
94?
Yes.
So out of 94, you need around 40...
It depends. It depends.
plus 1.
And then, what we have said is the current office has no mandate to run the election. The current board that was formed by the office that has left office, the committee that has left the office, has no mandate. And they cannot be fair to run this election. We have said it before, that for these elections to be free and fair, we need a normalization committee, which will give us free playing ground for all of us to participate in this election without any hindrances. If Herbert wins, fine. In a free and fair election, we accept. If Sam wins in a free and fair elections, fine. Or any other candidate, because we are now about 8. Out of the 8 candidates who are standing for this election, about 80% are complaining about this exercise. Why? There must be a reason why we are complaining. And we want the government to look into it, because we don't want to have an election that will not be legitimate. We want an election that will be given the mandate by the people to run football on their behalf.
Correct.
So if we have a flawed election, these persistent problems will not end. We shall continue having problems in the federation. We want free and fair elections. For us to be sure that we have a committee that has been given the mandate, full mandate, by by the stakeholders to run football on their behalf. Not someone to play shortcuts so that he can continue running football the way he runs football. Football is not a one-man show. Football is for all of us to participate fully. Even people like you media people, you should be able to participate and bring your ideas on board. Not a one-man show, the way it is now. So we are asking the government and other stakeholders to ensure that this election is free and fair. For us to participate in this election, we want to see a clear playing ground, not where one person has an edge over others. That's my take.
Sam, you've been there. You have been there. You've done that. You've been in elections. Now, there's another election.
My nephew, I can call you my nephew. When I had my elections in 2011, it was free and fair, where everybody accepted. I won landslide, and everybody accepted, gave me hands. 2016, I organized a very free and fair election, where the outgoing president won an election. What has he done? For the last 4 years, he has been manipulating a constitution, manipulating a situation where he wants to be in that office for long by rigging other people. You are aware, the country is aware, the government is aware, and the government must listen to this very carefully, that this election has been nullified twice by the tribunal. Nullified twice. Why has it been nullified? Because this election, the outgoing president had a mechanism of rigging the election. So it was nullified by none other than a competent tribunal court of this country. We have still gone to court. The tribunal. Where have we gone? Because even the ruling of the tribunal, which said that gave a ruling that the code is unconstitutional. What they have done, the board now, which was appointed by the current, the outgoing office, has repeated the same code, which is a disgrace. We are saying this. The majority of the aspirants, Nicholas included, Herbert included, and many others, we do not have the confidence of the current electoral board. We do not have, because it is actually manipulated by Nick Mwendwa. Completely manipulated. Because before they started giving a roadmap, Nick Mwendwa was caught on video, saying what the electoral board was going to do, and that is exactly what the board is doing. This lady, whom we respected, I respected her quite a lot. This lady has been manipulated completely. She's doing illegal things worse than when it was nullified the second time. She has even trying to make shift to allow some clubs to come in so that it looks like it is being transparent. They have even gone to tell other candidates to stand as candidates, and we know very well their projects being encouraged by the same board, so that they stand, and after some time they say, now we are leaving it for Nick Mwendwa, and we know these are the people. There is no way you can be a candidate and you are supporting an illegality, an illegal election. Then you are part of that system. What we are saying is... Are
you saying Herbert is a project?
Well, I don't think Herbert is a project. I don't think Herbert is a project.
Allow me to sue him.
You better sue him. Well, what I'm saying is, and the government should hear, we want a free and fair election. Number one, this board is partisan. The board is partisan. Number two, we should go by the ruling of the tribunal, so that everybody is allowed to vote. They want to lock down, they want to lock out all the county clubs. I can tell you now, all the county clubs. Because what's happening, I'm telling you out of experience. Among all my friends, I have a lot of experience.
Right.
You know, this is the first time we have counties. Okay?
Yes.
We didn't have counties as branches initially.
No, we didn't.
So this is the first time. So what we used to have the sub-branches and branches. Now those sub-branches have transited to counties. You are getting the point?
Yes.
They have transferred to counties. So if they have transferred to counties, it means those clubs which were there have also transited.
Yes.
So they should be allowed to vote at the counties. We wanted
At the county
initially for them to start voting from sub branches, but we are agreeable. We can be agreeable that all those clubs which are playing in the sub branches, they all vote at the county level. The other clubs up here, they can count as they can vote as wanted. But what they want to do, they are only allowing about 1,000 clubs to vote, and these 1,000 clubs are the clubs which were playing in the previous branches, which were very few. You see, that's how they want to rig. By rigging is because they know if they allow all the clubs to vote from the counties, then they will not have an advantage. So they are rigging, and what we are saying is, my friends, we will not allow an election which is marred by irregularities. We want every member. Those members, the counties are their members, are the FKF members. Why are you not allowing them to vote? So we will not allow, and we want the government to hear this. The government can no longer stop. The minister can no longer keep quiet when things are going wrong. We want the position of the ministry. What is the position of the ministry vis-a-vis the elections? Because football is one of the biggest, sports associations in Kenya.
Yeah.
And it also attracts a lot of insecurity if we don't do it well. So what we are saying is, we want a free and fair election. Free and fair election where everybody is allowed to vote. If it does not happen, we will not allow that kind of election.
Herbert,
Bram, asante sana.
karibu.
Ni huzuni kubwa sana.
Umesema tuongee Kiswahili.
Kwa sababu Wakenya pia Kiswahili wanakielewa.
Kweli kabisa.
Ni huzuni kubwa sana kuwa soka nchini Kenya inachezwa kwa mahakama badala ya kuchezwa kwenye uwanja. Kura ambazo zijazo kama si kura za haki, basi mwanasoka nchini Kenya hata kuwa na lake. Tumesema na wazee wamesema hapa, hii kura ambayo ijayo lazima iwe kura ya haki, ili mshindi ashinde bila changamoto, na yule ambaye alishindwa akubali, ampigie makofi mwenzake, ampongeze. Sisi twasema kama hii kura na ile tume ya uchaguzi ya mpira ambayo imewekwa hapo iwache kucheza mchezo. Huyu Mwenda, sijui ni Mwenda ni Mwendwa. Kama angekuwa amefuata sheria, hatungekuwa tusimama. Kura ingekuwa ishafanywa kitambo. Lakini kwa sasa mara mbili kura imesimamishwa na mahakama ya spoti nchini Kenya kwa sababu wameshindwa kufuata sheria. Sisi twasema mchezo uachwe, tufanye kura ya haki ili vijana wetu waume na wake wairudi kucheza mpira kama nchini Tanzania, nchini Rwanda, Burundi na zinginezo. Tuawachwa nyuma kwa sababu uongozi hautaki kura ya haki na ukweli. Asante.
I think you guys have heard. You've heard from the panel, everybody that has been involved. Kumekuwa na comments mingi sana. But before we wind up, I want to give you a chance, each one of you, 1 minute to give a parting shot. 1 minute as we wind up. Parting shot.
Do I start?
Start.
Okay, well, we want to thank you and your staff for giving us an opportunity to present ourselves to you and to the Kenyans, because they have been wanting to hear from us. So we want to say thank you for creating this opportunity and the venue, the owners of the venue, very good venue. We have expressed ourselves. We have spoken a lot in terms of football development, in terms of governance, in terms of match fixing, in terms of infrastructure. We have spoken all about this. What we want, and particularly what I want, is to see Kenyan football change. I have said it before, if given the mandate, I want to bring some sanity
To the game.
I am not coming here for personal gain. My interest And the interest of all of us, I believe, is to bring sanity into the game. We want to make this game attractive. We want to make sponsors to be happy with the game. So I want to plead with the Kenyans, and I want to plead with the government as well, to ensure free and fair elections are held, so that the right candidate with the mandate of the stakeholders is given an opportunity to run football in this country. We are not selfish, particularly myself, we are not selfish people, that we must be there. But what we want is sanity, and to bring the good face of Kenyan football to the people of Kenya. Our youth are suffering. We want to see them enjoy football. We want to see families going to the stadium to enjoy football. Not Musonye and his friends, no. So I want to appeal to Kenyans to be vigilant and ensure that what you are saying, if they don't back up what you are saying, they will end up having the same problem after the election is held. So we are asking the government to ensure the elections are free and fair, so that the right person is elected without any complication. That's my parting shot.
Kabisa, asante sana Bwana Nyamweya.
Well, thank you very much. We want to thank you for hosting us. And Shetani has ashindwe, the one who was sabotaging. We hope today is Sunday, wengine walimuombea. Hata akisabotage, hii ni maji ya River Nile.
Inaenda.
Inaenda. I want to say that we actually want to have a very fair election, transparent election. And I'm calling upon all our people that if the election is not fair, they will stand up and say no. All of them in the country. There's no way you can get 90% of the aspirants are saying this election is not fair, and then you ignore. You can't ignore. Let us even say you have the majority. If you have the majority, is the reason why you should do a fair election. So it is, we want a fair election. Number two, the situation where we are in football in this country is so bad that it needs a miracle to resurrect it. We are wondering, we have seen a lot of accusations about the money which has been serious money which has misappropriated, and we have not seen an action taken. We have seen the OB van which was supposed to come to Kenya. It never came to Kenya. Maybe Nicholas Musonye knows, because he has worked with Supersport where that OB van is. It is a serious matter. It's a serious matter. And I believe any of us, when they go to the office, if nothing is done, that we will embark on that one. My final shot is, where football is in this country now, I am the one who has the most experience. I'm asking my young brothers here, who will work together, let them give me an opportunity to bring it back to where it's supposed to be. To bring you an opportunity again. Again, to bring it back. And then I'll only be there for one term. After the one term, any of us can take over. But I'm not going to say that I throw them away. I want Nicholas to have a position, senior position there. I want my brother Herbert to have a position, because football is big. Neck is big, so that we can come together as a team and rescue this situation. It is a serious situation which does not need Sam Nyamweya alone. It needs Sam Nyamweya, it needs Herbert, it needs Nicholas, and many other people. Right. If all of us can agree that let us work together, there is none of, I've mentored almost everybody. Nicholas Musonye, I've mentored him. We work together. I've not mentored Herbert, but I've started now mentoring him. I've started mentoring him. Musonye is your role model. So that we here, instead of being a president of football, you can be president of the country. You had someone saying that. I have actually, I can tell you, I've mentored almost all of them. Right. Including the Mwendwa, who is you cannot mentor him now because he's beyond being mentored. Because I mentored him, he came in, he never recognized. You cannot believe that since he went to the office, he never called me even one call. Did you call him? I called him myself. I called him myself. Right. I told him, here, what you are doing is wrong. I believe he has never even called Nicholas when he was in Sakafa. Nicholas can testify that. How can you run football when you have your own, who is the Secretary General of SECAFA, when I was the president of SECAFA, I used to call Nicholas Musonye all the time. Nicholas, can we do this? How do we run this in SECAFA? He tells him, Mr. President, let's go to Kakamega, let's get Kakamega, let's get Kisumu, so that we work in harmony. Right. I can tell you he was here, we were working in harmony. True. Even I was not dictating that since I'm the president of Kenyan Federation, I choose the venues. I used to ask Nicholas, what do you think about this venue? Mr. President, go ahead. But you can't have a president of a federation who does not work with anybody. The best thing he does is his own advisor. That's the best thing he's done. And I can tell you that the better he packs, the quicker he packs and goes, the better for this country. I can tell you, any of us can run that football. Thank you very much, and I'm sure as we live here, my two brothers will work with me so that they can. After one time, I'll leave it. Either Nicholas, maybe Nicholas can take it. After that, he can leave it for him.
Habo, take it away.
Maybe I'm not being asked to give the vote of thanks here. But I must say that this is a moment for progressive-minded people.
Tumia pia kizungu, watu wangu wa mtaa pia wanaweza understand hizi maneno ngumu. Okay. Watu wangu kama kina Uchiweda wasikio.
Uchiweda yonielewa. This is a moment for watu ambao wanapenda mpira nchini Kenya. Tuje pamoja, tuokoe mpira wetu. Tusipofanya hivyo mpira wetu utazama.
Kabisa.
We are at a place where we don't want to be. Elections should not take the majority of the discussion. It should be development. Right now, we should be in the midst of planning how Harambee Stars are going to play their World Cup qualifiers and other continental tournaments when football or sport is opened up. But we find ourselves at a moment that it is important. Wale ambao mna uwezo mwataka mpira wetu tuokoe, tuje tuketi pamoja, tuje tuongee pamoja. It's not about me, it's not about Nicholas, it's not about Sam. It's about the youth of our country, both men and women, boys and girls, because we want to save this football for you. We want to ensure that there is a legacy that will remain in place and that we can go back to the number 68 ranking in FIFA as a first and then even higher. But to do that, we must move away from this football politics and get into football development. Thank you, Bram, for this session. These are people who care about football. The one thing I have no doubt about here is both Musonye and Nyamweya, they care about football just like I do.
Right.
So we want to do it for the youth of this country and their children and their grandchildren. Thank you.
Good stuff. Wow. Judy Machari anasema Musonye should work with Mwachiro in the event he wins or vice versa. Musonye brings the stick, Mwachiro brings the carrot. We need both to develop our game. Mesha Kisenge, Simba Joseph, jamaa wa Kisii huko, jamaa wa Shabana. We have Hassan Medi, Osotsi Lawrence, Herbert, Azizo, D. Nick, Kipchirchir, Peter, Nico Platinum, and so many other guys who are watching. Thank you so much. I think tutachi hapo because time pia imetupatia kisogo.
Yes.
It's already 6:30.
Yes, 6:30.
You guys have to
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you on
Yes, I
Wednesday.
think.
Yeah.
I want to go to the loo.
Bram, thanks a lot. Good show. Good show. Thank you so much.